After helping several dental practices that are startups and new acquisitions pass $1 million in their first 12 months of opening, I've started to notice some patterns, not opinions, not theories, actual patterns of what these successful practice owners do and what a lot of struggling practice owners just flat out kind of ignore, even if they don't know they're ignoring it. And today I'm going to break down exactly what I have learned from these $1 million startups this year. Welcome back to the Dental Practice Launch Podcast. I hope you all have been doing well since the last episode. Last episode, I think it was released in October, maybe early November. And as I'm recording this, it's early December. And I'm going to be putting out a handful of episodes between now and the end of the year. And of course, kicking back up and strong after the holidays as well. And the end of the year is always that time where we reflect, right? And that's what I've been doing a lot of, and just kind of writing down some notes of things I learned this year and have learned from others in the space. So as you may have gotten from the first intro of this podcast today, we're going to go over this 8 things. I'm going to hit on these 8 things quickly and then, maybe dive into them more in a future episode. But the 8 things that I learned from the most successful dental startups that help them, produce more than $1 million in their first 12 months of opening. Before I do so, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Dental Practice Launch Podcast. Really helps us out, whether you listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever it may be. If you're watching this on YouTube, I would love it if you'd hit subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. If you're watching on social media, give us a thumbs up. It really does help us out. So really appreciate that. But let's get right into it, because I'm not holding anything back here. We're going to just go through and go through lessons 1 through 8. And I'll try to spend, a minute or less on each, but we'll see if that actually happens. Okay, so here we go. What did the most successful startups do that produce more than $1 million in their first year of opening? The lesson number 1 that I've learned is maybe obvious, but they start marketing early. And listen, I know I'm a marketing guy. Crimson Media, it's a marketing company. But I'm not just talking about the marketing that we do. I'm talking about marketing in their community, marketing by telling their friends, family, their friends' families, right, about their practice and that it's going to be opening, in the coming months. The practice owners who really engage and take ownership of this have, without a doubt, seen massive momentum heading into the opening of their practice. And then, yes, from what Crimson Media does, the digital ads and the coming soon ads and kind of building that hype around the opening of the practice and getting the community involved certainly builds on that too. But the ground marketing, the community marketing is a big piece of it as well. So I always say, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. You need to have, marketing channels diversified and, hitting the community from all different angles. And so we recommend at a minimum starting marketing 3 months before the opening, but ideally, like the most successful startups I've seen have done 5, 6, 7 months before opening, as far as like in their community, letting people know, engaging at local events and things like that. And that's going to put yourself out there and start to build those relationships and build trust early on. So that's number 1, marketing early, and kind of starting that early, both digitally and community ground marketing. All right. Second lesson is the most successful startups obsess over Google reviews early. What I have seen is all the practices that we work with that have surpassed $1 million in their first year in production have gotten over 100 5-star Google reviews in that first year as well. Every single one of them. So Google reviews, I think we all know it by now, but they play an important role in the patient psyche, right? If they're looking at a new practice owner, I mean, think about it. Like, your new practice owner in the community, it's a brand new practice. If you don't have very many reviews and you've been open for 8 months, that's going to be a deterrent for a lot of people, because that's typically the last thing people look at before they call or schedule. So, having 100+ reviews just starts to build that momentum, builds that social proof, and it ultimately lowers your cost of advertising because you have more patients that convert when they see those great reviews coming in and consistently happening. And then also the other kind of byproduct of that is Google visibility. Google wants to see you getting reviews. They want to see patients engaging, and that will help with your SEO and Google visibility as well as cost of advertising. So that's been number 2. The most successful startups who surpass 1 million obsess over Google reviews early, and every single one of them that we've worked with have gotten over 100 in that first year of work opening. So that's the second. The third is their brand experience matches their marketing messaging. Okay. If you are wanting to create this practice where you say, hey, I want everybody to feel like this is a different type of dental experience, right? We, treat them like, family. We're going to listen to them. We're going to comfort them. We have, weighted blankets, headphones, TVs, and all the things, right, that people say are the differentiators. But if you're not showing that in your marketing, if patients are only seeing that once they've come into the space, you're missing out because you're not reaching however many people that maybe come to your website, look at your ads, and you're not getting that message across visually before they come in. Now, once they come in, it's great, right? But how do they know it's great if they never step through your door? And that's what you need to help get them to step through the door. So great, custom photography, videography, showing patients using the headphones, the weighted blankets, or showing you interacting with the patients in a friendly manner and smiling. Like, those are the things on the website in your marketing that need to match that patient experience. And too often I see practice owners invest so much in a brand new practice from, the design and the equipment, and then they skip on this piece. And that is just not going to be effective at all. It would be like, putting, all this equipment on this, car, like a, Ferrari. You've got, all the different bells and whistles to tune it up, make it go fast, nitrous oxide for you, car lovers out there. But you don't have an engine in the car, right? And the car's not going to be able to take off at the full capacity, full speed, or take off at all if you're not matching up what the exterior of that looks like. So that's what I've seen these successful owners do right away, is make sure that their marketing, their messaging, their website, their ads all match what that patient experience is going to be, and show that before they even step through the door. All right. Number 4, the doctor is actually involved in the marketing and not delegating everything. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying, which is don't delegate anything, because you should delegate. But the doctor needs to be involved in the marketing from an understanding standpoint of the messaging that's going out, working with the marketing company, on that, and making sure that they're providing that same experience in the practice that the messaging and the marketing is putting out there. But it's also the ground marketing, right? It's creating little videos and day-to-day photos in the practice so that you can use those in your social media presence, in your social media ads, and your website, to really show the day-to-day happenings in the practice. If you try to be the practice owner that's totally hands-off and don't want to be on camera, don't want your face out there, it's going to be really, really hard, because ultimately, I tell this to all of our clients, patients are buying you at the end of the day. They don't know who the best clinician is. 90% of them don't know who the best clinician is. They don't know who does the best, implants, crowns, whatever it is. They want to know, does this person seem like somebody I can trust? Are they friendly? And you have to be in your marketing, in your messaging, in the videos, in the photos, to show that. So doctors involved in marketing and not just kind of delegating it blindly and wanting to be a fully hands-off approach. All right, heading into the last 4 here. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to this podcast. Again, helps us out a ton. Let's dive into it. Number 5, done a number of podcasts on this before. I'm sure I'll do many more too. It's so important. You got to know your numbers, right? Most successful practice owners know what their numbers are. They know their new patient numbers each month. They know what they're producing per patient in a 6-month, 12-month period. They know what their average new patient production is. They know what their case acceptance is. They know what the hygiene reappointment rates are. And from the marketing standpoint, they're working with the marketing company to ultimately try to understand what is their cost per new patient, right? What is the cost to get that patient in the door? And then how much is that patient spending in our practice, not only in the first appointment, but over a 12-month period? And then once you've been open for 12 plus months, then that's where I've seen these practice owners really shift to then understanding how many of those marketing patients refer other patients, how many of their referral patients refer other patients, and then trying to track this kind of like spider web of referrals, which ultimately gives you kind of like the roadmap of how all of this grows and compounds together. Once you know those numbers, you can budget appropriately. You can know that your marketing dollars are bringing a return, not just for the short term, but for the long term. And then that's how you scale and grow. So know your numbers. Check out some of our previous episodes, on some of these that we've talked about. Very, very, very important. Number 6, they invest in the right places. So they're not overspending on the build out at the beginning, not overspending on the equipment at the beginning of the practice opening. They are, yes, investing in what they need and what's going to be able to provide a great patient experience, but ultimately they're strategically investing in building the patient base first. And that's what you have to do, because if you have all this luxury equipment that you're not ever able to use because you don't have a marketing budget to bring patients in, then it's just going to sit there and collect dust. So these successful practice owners put a wish list of some of the things that they maybe want that they don't need right away, and they invest in their marketing. They invest in great front desk talent, great assistant. When it's time to hire a hygienist, it's very easy to fall into the, hey, we just need to get somebody in here, right? Because I know hygienists are hard to find right now, but they really take their time. I just hire slow, fire fast, right? To find the right talent, hygiene, whatever it may be. So invest in your team, invest in your marketing, invest in coaching, continuing to grow in your brand, because ultimately that is a long-term approach, but it's the approach of once you get that momentum going, that's where it takes off. And that's why we call this the Dental Practice Launch Podcast, because these are the things that we talk about that help your practice launch over the long term. So that's the 6th one. Last 2 here. And I kind of hinted on this a little bit on the last one here, but they hire the right talent. And what I mean by the right talent is people who are culture fit, coachable for them. And they also hire earlier than they may feel ready. So roadblock that many startups are going to face is, when do I, open up an extra day in the office, or when I maybe need to hire another assistant, or the big one we talked about, a hygienist. And oftentimes they try to wait too long, where they're booking patients out over several weeks, a month, before they bring that on. And the problem with that is you're then going to start to lose patients because they can't be seen for a month, 2 months, whatever it may be. So you have to start to project these things early to be able to fill that gap, so you're not losing out on those patients. I've seen it time and time again where new patient numbers have just skyrocketed and then they plateau and even drop because scheduling is way too far out, months out, many cases, and patients just aren't going to wait that long unless they're a referral. Maybe referrals they're more likely to. Marketing patients, they're not going to wait 2 months to get in for a new patient appointment. They're going to find someone else unless you're the only option in town. So hire earlier than they feel ready, and making sure that they're kind of anticipating that growth and they know their numbers, which goes back to one of our earlier points. And the final lesson that I have learned from $1 million startup practices within their first 12 months of opening is they avoid these 2 biggest momentum killers, and they are big momentum killers. One, they stop ads too early, or they stop marketing. Again, marketing is all a piece of the puzzle, right? And so it's part of the patient journey. So when the practice starts to get what they say is busy, right? Or they're booked out a few weeks, maybe they need to hire that other person, they want to stop all their marketing. Problem is, when you stop all your marketing, whenever it's time to turn it back on, it's going to take time for that marketing to get back to where it was, even if it ever does get back to where it was. Campaigns are working off an algorithm, right? So those algorithms collect data, and then kind of scale it appropriately if it's being done correctly. That's what we do at Crimson Media, right? So if you're starting and stopping your campaigns, they're never going to get the momentum. You're not giving them enough time. So maybe you switch your messaging around where it's not, be seen same week if you can't see those patients same week, but maybe you shift it over to more of Google reviews and your patient experience and kind of build that reputation in the community while you're trying to hire that shows why you're in such demand. That's a way better approach, and it keeps momentum going, right? So don't stop marketing too early. Seen too many people make that mistake again. And the best, most successful practices, they're always marketing, whether it's digital, in the community, their referrals, patient experience, everything is marketing, and you got to keep going. The second momentum killer as part of this is not tracking their patients and their calls, right? Not only just not tracking where the patients are coming from, which again, it's a patient journey. Patient may have driven by the practice, but if they went online, they looked at your reviews, then they started seeing your Facebook ads, like there's multi-touches there, right? So you can't just attribute it to just the sign or just the ads because there's multi-touch points there. So you need to be tracking those things, but you also need to make sure that your front desk is actually answering the phone and that they are converting patients. If a patient is calling because they're saying, hey, are you in network with Delta Dental? And you say, nope, we're not, sorry. The practice down the road is, though. That's not good, right? And we see that happen. The most successful practices, even if they're not in network with Delta or a particular insurance, have a script on how they handle that conversation, and that's still transparent with the patient. So the patient understands how out-of-network benefits work, but the team educates them on that. And there's a lot of great coaches. I've done some other interviews with some amazing consultants and coaches who focus on this specifically. But make sure you're monitoring your calls because you could be losing a lot of new patient opportunities due to your front desk turning them away. And you can't just go off of their word because, everybody has to have accountability and tracking in place. And there's always room for improvement too. And if you don't know how to improve them, that's where you need to hire a coach or an expert to help with that. So in closing, these are the 8 biggest lessons I have learned from these $1 million startups, in their first year of practice. It's awesome doing what I do and working, with my team and startup practices because I get to see all this in real time and learn from so many amazing, smart people. But I hope if you can do anything, from this is take, some of these and apply it to your practice or your future practice. And, if you would like, I'm going to put a link down below where we'll have a download where you can actually download this sheet that will have these 8 lessons in it as well. Until next time, have a great, whatever this time you're listening to it, it's the holiday season now. And be sure to check out the next episode that'll be coming out here on the Dental Practice Launch podcast. Thanks, everybody.